Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and today's video is especially for beginner to intermediate bass players who want to start learning the Chicken by Jaco Pastorius. Today we're going to break this legendary bass line down into 3 core elements. If that sounds good, make sure you check out this lesson all the way to the end. Hey guys, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and in today's bass guitar lesson I want to break down the legendary bass line from the Chicken, which was made famous by Jaco Pastorius, into 3 core elements. If you're a beginner to intermediate bass player, this lesson is really going to help you simplify what might seem like a very complex tune on the outset. So this is a lesson that I've been asked to teach time and time again, because we actually used the bass line for the Chicken as a little musical sting on our YouTube channel for the first 30 to 40 lessons or so. So there's a good chance if you follow this channel you may have heard it before. So what we're going to do is break this into a lesson which is specifically focused for beginner to intermediate bass players. The first core element we're going to cover is a bass line which will work across the whole of the song. Then we're going to look at the unison phrase, which you will hear within every sequence. And then we're going to look at the 16-bar sequence, which is cycling around time and time again throughout this tune. Before we hit the lesson content, I want you to know that there is a completely free PDF that comes with this lesson, where you can see absolutely everything written out in standard notation and tab. This will really help you understand the concepts that we're covering in this lesson. And also, don't forget, if you're a beginner to intermediate bass player and want more help with your bass playing, make sure you check out the Bass Lab Plus. This is a full end-to-end program for the beginner to intermediate bass player, which is super easy to understand. For both of these, there's a link in the description below. To begin with, let's break down the iconic bass line to the Chicken into a simple 1-bar groove in the key of B flat, which we can then apply to the whole of the sequence. So this is what the bass line sounds like, so you know what you're aiming for. 1, 2, 3, fa. So first of all, I want to talk about the notes, then we'll put the rhythm to it. There are 7 core notes to this bass line which make up the iconic sound of this line. Those are the root, which is a B flat, and then we have this chromatic notes starting on the open D. So it's an open D, an E flat, an E natural, and an F. So you have the root, the 3rd, the 4th, the sharpened 4th, and then the 5th. And then we have the 6th, which is an open G, and then the octave like that. So what I do is play those notes so you can just get them under your hand to begin with. Let's talk about the rhythm now. The fundamental rhythmic groove to this tune is a 16th note funk groove, which means we're dividing every beat into 4. So we end up with 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and what we're doing in our bass line is basically picking out very specific 16th notes. So this means we have to be pretty accurate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this groove up beat by beat. So we're going to start off with the first beat, then we're going to look at the second beat, then I'm going to lump the 3rd and the 4th beats together. So this is what the first beat sounds like. So 1, 2, 3, fa, bum bum, dum gum, dum gum, dum bum. And what this is an 8th note, and then a 16th note on the last 16th note of the first beat. So bum bum, just before the second beat of the bar. So 1, 2, 3, fa, bum bum, dum gum, dum gum, dum bum. So let's move on to the second beat of the bar, and what we have is this da da ba, which is 2 Ds and an E flat, da da ba, da da ba, da da da. And though the Ds are placed on the first and second 16th note of the second beat, da da, and then the E flat is placed on the last 16th note of the second beat, just before the third beat of the bar. So what I want to do now is put those first two beats together. So it's 1, 2, 3, bar. Bum ba da da da. Dum ba da da da. And this is really our core fundamental part of the bass line that we need to get down. Now let's look at the last two beats of the bar. So what we're going to do is feature the notes E natural and an F there. So E natural and F, and then G, B flat. So we play this like 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And the E flat is placed on the second 16th note of the third beat. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And the F is placed halfway through the third beat. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then the last two notes are just straight eighth notes, which are on beat 4 of the bar, and then beat 4 and of the bar, like that. So this works best I find if you put these two beats together, they work as a more natural phrase. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So effectively what you're doing is you're playing off the third beat, feel the third beat with your foot, and then directly after the third beat, play the E natural. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So what I want to do is put the whole line together now. Now the trick to getting this bass line down is to really slow it down and identify what is going on each 16th note of the bar. Don't forget to download the free PDF which comes with this lesson so you can see this all written out, because that will really, really help. So that is a 1-bar bass line or groove which will work across virtually all of the chord sequence to the chicken. But there is one place where it will not work, because at the end of every single sequence there is an unison phrase. And what I mean by unison phrase, this is a musical phrase where every single band member plays exactly the same rhythm and exactly the same notes. And this is what it sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like so. And this is based on the B flat minor pentatonic. So let's talk through the notes which are used in this phrase. It starts on a B flat, and then goes to an A flat, to an F, to an E flat, to a D flat, to a B flat, and then lands on an A flat at the end of it. So if you like to think of in terms of intervals, it starts off on the octave, the flattened 7th, the 5th, the 4th, the flattened 3rd, the root, and then lands on the flattened 7th at the end. Now these are mostly offbeat 16th notes which sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But there is one note, the A flat at the end, which lands directly halfway through the third beat of the bar. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that note has a little bit more weight to it because it is actually on a stronger beat of the bar. So make sure you download the free PDF which comes with this lesson so you can see this written out and where each individual note falls in the bar, because that's super important to get this accurate. So now we have the two important core elements to the bass line, the 1-bar groove and the unison phrase. The next thing we need to look at is the chord sequence which makes up the chicken, because this is a little bit unusual but very, very cool at the same time. So we are in the key of B flat. First of all, there's normally a 4-bar introduction on the front of this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start directly where the tune comes in on the saxophone. And what happens here is we start off with 4 bars of B flat, which sounds like this. go up to an E flat for 2 bars. And all we do is transpose the bass line, which we played in B flat, up into E flat, and it will work absolutely perfectly. Start it on a second finger and all the notes will fall directly under your hand if you're using the 1 finger per fret technique. Don't forget, this is all written out in the free PDF which comes with this lesson. So we started off with 4 bars of B flat, then we've gone up to 2 bars of E flat, like this. Then we drop down half a step or 1 fret and then play a bar of D. And then we go to a G chord here. So that is 2 bars of E flat. And then a bar of D. And then a bar of G here. And then we go to 3 bars of C. And then we hit that unison phrase that we talked about earlier in the lesson. Like so. So let's start on those 3 bars of C and then hit the unison phrase. And then we go to 4 bars of B flat to finish the tune off. That is just kind of a little linking section which will take us back round to the top. So what I want to do now is play the chord sequence all the way through by myself, and then I'm going to play it with a backing track which you can find over in the Jazz Jam backing track album over at eBassGuitar.com, where so you can hear what this sounds like. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to the E flat, to the D, to the G, to the C, So let's play it with the backing track so you can hear what this sounds like in context. 1, 2, 3, 4. So guys, if you're enjoying this lesson, make sure you jump over to eBassGuitar.com and check out the Bass Lab Plus. This is my private members training program designed especially for beginner to intermediate bass players. So if you'd like a step-by-step program which is fundamentally easy to understand and break songs and bass lines down just like this one, make sure you click the link which is in the description below to take your free 14-day trial. To finish this lesson off, I want to show you one simple alteration you can make to this bass line to make it into a 2-bar bass line, which makes it that little bit more funky. And all I'm going to do is add 1 extra open string in. So the first bar is going to remain exactly the same. And then we're going to alter the second bar to this. I'll play that to you again. And to slow it down, the first 2 beats stay the same. And then we do literally an E natural, F, and then add this D open string in there. So we 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then add the last 2 beats of the last beat of the bar in. Can you see it's just that little bit more funky and sounds very, very cool. So let's make it into a 2-bar bass line where the first bar is the simple one and the second one is the slightly more complicated one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget, that is written out in the free PDF which comes with the lesson. There's a link in the description below. That subtle alteration is literally the tip of the iceberg. There is so much flexibility and space to improvise on this bass line. So to finish this lesson off, what I want to do is just jam with this bass line a little bit so you can see some of the ideas that I would naturally play. Don't forget, you can grab the backing track to this over at eBassGuitar. It's in the Jazz Jam backing track album volume 1. So click the link in the description below to jump over to eBassGuitar.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So guys, that's the end of today's bass guitar lesson. Don't forget to download the free PDF workbook that comes with this lesson. There's a link below in the description below. And if you want to grab the backing track or you want to check out the Basslab Plus to help push your bass playing forward, make sure you jump over to eBassGuitar.com. There's a link again in the description below. Cheers, I've been James from eBassGuitar, and I'll catch you next time.